The Lighthouse of Hope, a Christian story of faith and perseverance. My name is Emily Carter, and I grew up in the small coastal town of Seabrook, surrounded by waves, lighthouses, and the salty ocean breeze. From a young age, I learned that life can be as unpredictable as the sea, but faith in God and perseverance are the anchor that keeps us steady even in the fiercest storms. My grandfather, Jonathan Carter, was the person who influenced my life the most. He was wise, patient, and full of faith, known in the town for his advice and his way of teaching deep lessons to everyone around him. One summer afternoon, while seagulls called over the harbor, my grandfather called me to walk along the pier. "Emily," he said, pointing toward the lighthouse at the end of the harbor, "today I want to tell you something that will change the way you face challenges." We sat on a wooden bench, and as the sun reflected on the waves, he handed me a small, worn notebook. "Inside you will find stories from my life, from your great-grandparents, and from people who faced great trials," he said. "But above all, you will find God's teachings and how to trust Him in every moment." Opening the notebook, I found letters, reflections, and accounts of difficult times, losses, illnesses, and obstacles, always accompanied by a lesson of faith and hope. "Dear Emily, life will not always be calm like this sea. There will be storms, moments of fear and pain, but never forget that God is with you. He guides your path and gives you the strength to overcome any challenge. Be patient, trust His plan, and move forward with faith. Your grandfather, Jonathan." Soon, my grandfather's teaching became essential. My family faced financial hardships when the fishing, the town's main source of income, became insufficient due to storms and changing weather. My father was discouraged, my mother worried, and I felt afraid of what the future held. That's when I remembered my grandfather's words and his stories. I started helping at the town store, organizing small community events, and supporting neighbors who were also going through difficulties. Every act of service, every effort to improve our situation, taught me that even adversity has a purpose. One day, while helping at the harbor, I saw an elderly fisherman trapped in a boat during a storm. Without thinking, I ran to help him back to shore. My grandfather watched from the edge of the pier, proud. "Emily, every action, no matter how small, can change lives," he said. "Never underestimate the impact of kindness and faith." I also learned about patience. Sometimes, not all problems are solved immediately. God's timing is perfect, he would repeat. "Learn to wait with faith, and you will see how everything falls into place." As time passed, I faced personal challenges, school pressures, conflicts with friends, and decisions about my future. In every situation, I turned to my grandfather's notebook, read his letters, and reflected on his teachings. One of my favorites was about resilience. "Emily, when a wave hits you and it feels like it drags you under, remember you have an anchor in faith. Stand up, breathe, and trust that God will keep you steady." The most difficult moment came when my mother's illness worsened. It was a time of fear, uncertainty, and tears. But I remembered my grandfather's words, "Hope is not passive. Pray, act, trust, and never lose faith." I accompanied my mother to every appointment, learned about her treatment, and found ways to support our finances. Gradually, through effort, faith, and patience, her health began to improve. Every small progress felt like a miracle, and I understood that God never abandons those who trust in Him. Today, years later, I still live in Seabrook, and every time I look at the harbor lighthouse, I remember my grandfather and his teachings. The lighthouse does not only guide ships at night, but also symbolizes the light of faith, perseverance, and hope in our lives. I share this story because I know we all face storms, moments of fear, and despair. But I also know that faith, patience, and conscious action can transform any adversity into a blessing. If you ever feel lost, remember the voice of someone who loves and guides you. As my grandfather taught me, trust, persevere, and God will bring you to safe shores.